Okay, cool. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the weekly warm up, and we start with the warm up exercise. Last time, we kind of came across with a new warm up exercise type, which was drawing a block and then drawing different shapes in that in a pattern fashion. So, kind of picking one shape and then drawing that repeatedly. We can either follow that or we can do with the same way that we exercise, which is drawing dots, then lines, straight lines, sleeping lines. Some squares, diamonds. So any new warm-up shape that any of you have kind of tried, come across, really liking that?
It's a star actually.
Okay. And is that like without lifting
Yes, that
pen
one.
or okay?
Without lifting. But but all of them they look different actually.
Mm. One thing I've tried is drawing the oval shape,
Mm-hmm.
but that too again, sleeping oval, slanting oval, both sides. That's something that I've been trying.
How is your relation with cursive writing? Like, do you get into that habit of writing cursively, or you're okay with?
No, it's very bad. So I've been
I'm
writing.
okay with it.
Yeah,
Though
what?
I normally write in print, but I'm quite comfortable with cursive also.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, cursive writing in Sketchnote, I think it brings some elegance and also some flair. If you want to kind of communicate, like somebody has said something in a very interesting way. So okay, cool. So moving on to the topic for today, there are two topics. One is mapping, or the larger topic is, let's say we have information, the mapping of the information, and showing the relationship. Okay, all both rather visually. Right, so the topic actually gets covered in this sketch note itself, wherein I have three different information. One is mapping, another term is relationship, and third one is visually. And they are kind of placed next to each other, and I've shown some relation between them. Right? So starting with mapping exercise or mapping, the concept of mapping first. Normally we use map to kind of show the relationship of an information in a context or space. By the literal definition of the map, we have like the spatial or geospatial map. Let's say there is a home, then there is a tree next to it, okay, and then there is another home, and maybe there are groups of home, a group of homes, sorry, right? And there is a path, a road, which kind of connects. Right? And then there are a few things around that space. So what's happening is we are actually creating, or there are facts that there is a home in one space or in one locality, right? And then there are another group of homes in another locality, and then there is something else, maybe let's say a building, right? And the location of these objects or these things are like facts, or it's a discrete or definite information. And then we are placing it in a visual space, and then saying, let's call it this home as my home. Okay. And let's say I call this as my school. So I can, looking at this, I can clearly say that my school is, and if there is a direction north, I can say that my school is on the east of, located on the east direction of my home, right? And it's at a particular distance. So I can actually add some details like how far it can be based on the scale. And if I assign some unit to this scale, it can become, let's say, if one scale unit is 1 kilometer, I can look at this and kind of say that horizontally it's around 4 kilometers from my home, right? I'm not calculating the exact distance by this thing, but at least visually, if I have to show in an abstract format, I can look at this map and kind of give away that information. So so how does it relate to Sketchnote? When we are creating Sketchnotes, and if we have to kind of portray or give away information which are based on facts, we can make use of these kind of visual maps. So in the process, the first thing is to collect all the facts. Okay, and these facts can be visually located in a space. So these facts are like that. Okay, and then position the objects that represent facts with relation to each other, right? So is it on left, right, top, bottom? Okay, it can go really complex if I kind of select a 3D map or things like that. But I can always collect this kind of information, and the information that is collected is all, first we need to understand that these facts are spatial in nature, right? It is not like the population of India is, let's say, 1.4 crore, no, 140 crore, right? Or population of blah blah country is so much. That fact is not spatial in nature. We can actually make it spatial in nature by saying that the spread of Indian population in the country is such. So let's say if I were to kind of show a little, and pardon me for the map of India, but if I were to show the population of country of India onto the map, I can, and the spread on the map, I can approximate it by saying that this is the north of India, this is the central India, and then this is south of India, west and east, right? And then I can say, start assigning that this portion of India is having, let's say, X number of population, and then this one Y, right? This one Z, and this one, let's say A, this one, let's say B, right? So I have fact saying that this particular area has this much population, and I'm kind of placing them with relation to each other in a spatial map kind of position. Okay, so that's one way of kind of capturing. So whenever we have facts, and if we have facts which can be assigned or attached to a spatial location like this, we can start making use of these artifacts or these visual representations to communicate the facts. So that's very helpful in Sketchnote, right? Second way in which visual maps can be used is in facilitation or in kind of gaining insights, which is, let's say, if I have this map in place, this map in place, I can say that there is different ways of going to, let's say, school, right? So there are three different ways. You can see that there is a dotted line, then there is a small road which goes below this one, and there is a big road, let's say highway. Okay. I can talk on top of this and kind of say that there are three ways of reaching a particular place, and let's call that number BA, then there is option B, and then there is option C. Now we can make a discussion around this and kind of conclude that A is an option of reaching to school that I can take maybe, let's say, in morning, because there is less of a traffic. B, when there is more traffic, I'll choose this way, and C that way. Or if I have to go at one particular time, I'll analyze whether I want to go fast or I want to go slow, and based on that, I can make a decision, right? So this is more like for internalizing the information and getting insights from the information that is presented, right? So this is again, I would say it is abstraction, right? So this is not like exactly how far, how close, or as per the proportion, but it kind of gives an abstract or a fair idea of the relative spacing or distance between each other. And then based on that, we are kind of gaining insights. Right. So I'll take a pause. If you have any question, I can answer that.
So, Kumar, so how this is actually like different from the maps that typically like we use, those professional maps, right? Can we take some clue from there?
We
Or-
can. Yeah, this is just an abstract format of those maps. I'm just giving an example of how can we infer or how do we take inspiration from those maps and kind of make it abstract to be used in Sketchnote. So most of the times that we see that is we kind of take notes, right? Maybe we add some object or people, right?
Mhm.
And we are not looking at the placement of these objects next to each other. Now, with this concept, we can actually start understanding how to place things with respect to each other, like how far, how close. Okay, one, of course, it will drive some visual hierarchy or visual communication of the information. And second, it can actually give out the information saying that how is this object related to this particular person. So
Mhm.
if I've written a note between them and kind of draw some, and that's what the next topic is, draw some way to kind of show that relation, it'll start communicating information.
Got it.
So that's the main idea again. Actually, all the graphs and all the charts that we have, they are nothing but visual maps, right? So they are the most simplistic way of kind of approaching. All right, so that was the first part. And once we do this exercise, the live sketch note that we are going to do, you will kind of understand it better. The second one is on the is on. So the first one is visual maps. So collect facts, maps, and then get insight out of it. That's the flow. Second one is on relationships. Okay, that's information relationship. Let me bring it closer. All right. So second one is on relationship. Okay, so how do we define the relationship between two objects? So let's say um, there is this object that I've drawn. Okay, and there is a person. Okay, now how is this person related to this object? I can show in different ways. One is to show a dotted line, right? Or it can be a dashed line, or it can be a straight line normal. It can be a hollow line, like a double line, but without anything in between. And then it can be a bold line. And I'm drawing straight over here, but no, it can take any shape, right? So there are these different ways of kind of showing relation between two things. It can be between objects, between people, um, object and people, or anything, right? The dotted line, because of the visual nature of it, they are uh, they show that there is a faint relationship or not very strong relationship. So Bharti is there. Hi, Bharti. Are you able to hear me? Earlier, I kind of got you in, but okay. Uh, she dropped off again. Yeah, she's there. All right. I think you are trying to say something, but I'm not able to hear. That's okay. I hope I'm visible or the things are visible. All right. So coming to relationship, uh, the dotted ones are faint and shows when I say the blocked one, they are stronger or they communicate stronger relationship. And the dotted ones or dash one, they show some weak relationship. Okay. So let's say if I have two people shown like this, and then I show a dot over here, and then like this. And then I ask you to kind of comment on the relationship. So this, let's say this relationship is A and this is B. Would it be okay to kind of say that relationship B is greater in some form than A, right? And when I say form, it is stronger than B. Okay, so like that. And then I can actually use the combinations to kind of communicate more information. Okay. It can also communicate these dotted lines. It can communicate whether it is so stronger, like it's more like a line drawn in stone, right? It is said, it is done, it will be done, right? Or something which is dotted or which is scribbly in nature, which is not very confident, right? Or it kind of has a lot of breaks in between, right? It can communicate whether it will, we are not sure, right? So it can be, it can communicate that that relationship is futuristic in nature, right? Or imagined, or not very sure. And the ones, and this is for dotted and dashed, and the ones which are like straight or hollow or kind of filled up, they are more like it.
Kumar, sorry, can you move the camera? We
Oh,
cannot
okay,
see.
sorry. I think it's high time I get that board. Okay. So yeah, so dotted and dashed kind of shows futuristic relationship, imagined or not very sure. And the ones which are straight without any breaks in between kind of shows that it kind of that thing exists, okay, or more confident or bold in nature, right? So that's visually how to how do we communicate the information. So this is an information, right? Relationship A and relationship B. This is an information, and we are giving additional information visually by saying whether it is strong or not strong or frail, right? So all right. So let's say there is one more relationship type I wanted to kind of talk about. Let's do that, and maybe then we'll jump onto the live sketch note. Right? So that is, let's say if we consider time, right? We always consider time from going from right to left, sorry, left to right. Okay. And whenever we position some objects around or information around, we can kind of say uh, the sequence in which that information appeared or existed or is going to happen, right? So if I draw a dotted line over here and maybe, or maybe let's say dotted line over here, and then some information, I can actually kind of start saying that this is the future, and that's the future information that might exist. We are not sure, right? So that's a timeline based information or map that I'm showing. So this is a map. These are the facts. They are relatively placed. And then I'm communicating extra information by the relationship that I'm showing. Okay. Second one is we always look at, let's say, metaphorically, tree, which kind of grows upwards. Pyramids, right, which kind of goes upwards. Then buildings kind of goes upwards, right? And then we also have organizational hierarchy, right? So we have, it's a CEO who has some set of reportees, and then they also have reports, and it kind of communicates. So it kind of represents a hierarchy. Okay, so when we have information like that presented like that, we can actually start giving information. So they are visually placed in relation to each other. And then when I start connecting the dots, so let's say um, there is a relationship like this, and then there is a relationship like this. Okay, and then I have another relationship like that, and then like that, and something like this. Right? So this kind of gives an information saying that, okay, there is an hierarchy between A, B, and C, but there is also a direct relationship between A and C. So there are two ways for A to kind of maybe communicate or pass on the information, or for the information to pass from A to C, that is through B or directly. Okay. Now we can derive insight from this, saying that at what point of time do we want the information to flow from A to C? When do we select B, or when do we kind of bypass that? Something like that. Okay. So first one was timeline. Second is hierarchy. Okay. Then there is another information, which is again a map, but it can show the spatial relationship, or how close or how overlapping it can be. So if I draw a circle and then draw another circle, I can say that this is an overlap of information, right? Or if I draw something inside, I can say that this information, or this is a part of this larger set of information, right? So right now, if you have seen Gen AI maps or anything to understand or do with Gen AI, you will kind of see that, there is AI, and then there is machine learning, and then there is something, 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 and then there is no. So that kind of communicates that AI is something which is very big, and then there is let's say data science, and there is machine learning, and then there is blah 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 blah. Okay, I don't know how much factually correct this is, but I'm just trying to kind of give information over here. Okay. Again, it need not to be circle. It can be a triangle also. Okay. Or a square, or a combination of different set of information. What we are trying to communicate is that spatially, how that different information is placed with respect to each other, and what is the overlap between them. We can either shade it, or kind of make it dotted, or kind of color it up. So again, let's say if we have to kind of apply this to Sketchnote, I draw two human figures, and I can Sketchnote something like this to kind of show how much is the overlap in their thoughts. Right. So yeah. And many times you would also have seen that no, I draw something like this, which is speech bubble. Right. It kind of shows an overlap between two speech bubbles. The reason is to show the depth, but we can also do it something like this to show again the relationship or the overlap between information. So this is again a spatial relationship type. Okay. And the last one is that there is set of information, and then there is a flow. Right, which kind of shows a sequence. Now, a flow can be straightforward like this. If I just want to communicate like how this information will pass on. But if I also want to communicate what is the relationship in terms of hierarchy, then I'll do a flow and do a combination of hierarchy. So this first, then although in terms of hierarchy or in terms of visual space placement or mapping, this come next. But in terms of flow or sequence, over here, B comes next. All right. So for today, I think this is good enough. The Sketchnote or live Sketchnote exercise that we will do, I'll keep it relatively simple. How many of you have a work desk at home?
Yeah.
I assume almost all of you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So what we are going to do today is for the live Sketchnote exercise is we'll take our desk and we will map the visual elements or map all the elements or all the things on our desk visually. Okay. That's the first thing that we'll do. And if time permits, what we'll do is we'll kind of use a colored marker to show relationship either between each object, not every object, but the most important ones, or we do this exercise wherein, let's say, this is my desk. Okay. So the first thing, what are the facts? So what do I have on desk? On my desk. Okay, so that's the first set of fact that we'll collect. Second is how are they placed, spatially, okay, on the desk. So these two, based on these two facts, I'll start sketching or drawing those objects. Okay. I also have another fact, which is the dimension of the desk or a relative kind of proportion of the desk. So mine is rectangle, maybe yours might be circle, whatever, oval, I don't know. So that's the another fact. Okay. Based on this, you start keeping things over here. So that's the first one. The second, which is relationship type, what we can do is we can draw ourselves a simple profile pic. Maybe you can detail that out and then have all these items, right? Maybe pick 10 items or 5 items, whatever, right? And then start placing them all around. Let's say I've placed 5 items. Maybe one of the item is, let's say, monitor. Okay. My journal, my laptop, okay, books, maybe stationery. Okay. So in next one, what we'll do is we'll use the relationship type, those dotted lines or strong lines or those things to kind of establish connection between myself and that thing. So for me, this is the strongest connection. Okay. Maybe for laptop, this is the one. For stationery, maybe a dashed one. I'm just giving an example. That's not true, by the way. For books, again, that one. And maybe because these are 5 which are totally related, maybe let's say I also have something called story cubes. Okay. But I'll draw a dotted connection between that because I very rarely use them, but I still do that, right? So that's why there is a connection. Or if there is something which is lying there, blank books, I don't have any connection because I'm not related. I'm related, but I'm not using it. Okay, so I'm defining some unit for that and then I'm doing it. So yeah, I think we can do this in our live Sketchnote and employ all the learning that we had. And it's okay to make mistake. Don't use pencil. Use pen only. If you make a mistake, creator may create another one maybe, or let the mistake be there. That's okay. So and you are not supposed to draw any perspective or anything like that. Top view is just fine. Or the most simplistic thing that you can do is draw a rectangle and just write that particular thing over there. So let's say monitor. Okay, maybe monitor stand. Okay, laptop, Kindle. Right. And while doing this, if you have any questions, please ask. Okay. You can go to a lot of details, but feel free to kind of keep it up to maybe 10 to 15 objects at max. Maybe. So what I've also done is just below the visual map of my desk, I've added a timeline. Like when did that particular object arrive on my desk? It's like a history of my desk.
Okay.
And to make it more interesting, once you have done the visual mapping, you can actually annotate that with notes. Okay. On an average, how many items do we have in this group, at least on the desk? I have at least like 15.
12.
Mine is very. I have
Yeah.
like 5, 7 items.
Okay, yeah.
I put a high level number. I mean, I just put stationery. But if I really break down the number of stationery, it would go to, I don't know, probably 100 plus. I don't know.
Yeah. So there
I
you're
put in
doing,
6 categories.
yeah,
Yeah, even I put categories.
information chunking, right? So group
Yeah.
space into one. Yeah, same thing over here. I have mentioned stationery and small books and yeah. So that's also very important whenever we are communicating that kind of information in Sketchnote. What is the granularity that we want to kind of go into and communicate? Um, Thanks, Jatin, for kind of bringing that up. It's very an important aspect of, like, say, Sketchnote. And that also kind of is getting communicated, that we are not creating art, we are not detailing out it that much, but we are giving enough information to kind of communicate the main essence of it. So, right, we are almost on time.
Done.
Cool. So, which is the strongest relation between you and one of the objects, if I may ask? Any of you willing to?
Journal.
Laptop and music system.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. Because of the sketchnoting habit, or skill that I picked up, or started collecting all the items, my speaker had to move away. I had to sacrifice that and move it away from my desk. Otherwise, it was always there. A good companion for me for 10 plus years.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Which one is that, Jatin?
So I have a Bose sound dock, on which I used to keep my iPad and iPod and
Oh,
listen to music.
amazing. Cool. So I think all of us sketchnoted for ourselves today, not for anybody else. We sketchnoted wherever that we work, and kind of maybe you can explore different uses of this visual map um, in our own personal life. As I mentioned, the relationship is very important one. Especially when we are journaling, we can actually use this kind of dotted lines or strong lines to kind of show what is the kind of relation. And it is not the only thing. We can also draw one more line, which can be shown in different color to kind of say that this is my existing one, and this is what I would like to kind of make it in future or whatever, right? Or it was in past and now it is like this. So different ways of showing that. And again, the timeline view is also an interesting one, which is, so I'm going to share that sketchnote. I recently came across a sketchnote in which a journey of an architect was shown, the process of the architect was shown, and um, the place where the building was made and the construction material that was used, they were shown spatially at different places, at different heights, to kind of give a relation between what is the spatial relation between them. And also it was shown proportionately to kind of give a sense of what it kind of took to build that kind of structure in a very difficult terrain, right? So I'll share that. It is really interesting. Yeah. Cool. With that, I kind of conclude today's weekly warm up. I'll stop the recording, but we can keep our conversation on after this. So